I'm not sure. It shouldn't take that long for an interview to be scheduled, right? But now the downside is even when an interview is scheduled, there's also a hold, there's also a full wait on when your green card will be issued. And so don't even be worried about when the interview will be scheduled. Like you can show when you're going to but at some point a very good evening to you all. Perry, please check and give me a ping. I know you're here. Please check and give me a ping if Facebook is good, if YouTube is good as well. But very good evening to you all. I hope you're doing well. Please let me know where you're joining in from, and feel free to type in your questions. Feel free to type in your questions. Does judge ruling today means there's no more ban on 39 countries? No. Okay, that's just a decision. We're still waiting to see what the government is going to do, whether they are going to appeal or they are going to start processing. We don't know yet, right? The decision came in today. We don't know yet. And so until then, fingers crossed, hopefully the USCIS starts, processing these green cards, because it's unfair. It's unfair. It's not as though they have issued a directive on the things they are specifically looking for from these people from the 39 countries. And so it's quite unfortunate. But yes, there's been a ruling, which was part of the things that I was going to discuss, but you've already asked the question, so I guess I get to check that off my list. But thank you. Thank you for joining. Let me share. If you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, please share, notify others that we are here. There are lots of questions on TikTok already, which is awesome. You see, I always say that TikTok is where the fun is happening all the time, all the time. A very good evening to everyone joining in. Please let me know where you're joining in from. I would love to know where you're based, how you heard about AB Legal Consult. And just drop in your questions. Please drop in your questions as well. Thank you so much for joining. I'm sharing this feed on my Facebook. When you come on, please share. Invite others to join. It's Friday, you know how we do it. We show up here, take some questions, give you some immigration updates, take as many questions as we can, well, as we possibly can. And then when we are done, we go home to enjoy our weekend, right? A very good evening to you all. Please let me know where you're joining in from. I would love to know your names. I think TikTok, you all tend to hide your names. So I would love to know your names. I would love to know where you're joining in from and how you learned about AB Legal Consult. Okay, I would love to know that. So please let me know where you're joining in from. Okay, let me share this on my page. Oh, okay, we're live. Please let me know if you can hear me. Facebook, YouTube. I would love to know if you can hear me. I would love to know if you can see me. And feel free to type in your questions. Okay, so someone says this is on TikTok, my interview has been scheduled and I need assistance. What kind of assistance do you need? What kind of assistance do you need? Let me know what kind of assistance you need, and then we'll see how we can help you. Okay. All right, someone says, are they granting citizenship now? I don't know. I have clients whose petitions are still pending. Okay. I understand that there was a decision, but that does not mean that USCIS is going to start processing everything today, right? It doesn't work that way. At least we know the precedent we have. We know how things are going, and so it's likely, I'm not sure, it's likely that the government may appeal the decision. I don't know. We'll just wait and see. And then we'll see how the USCIS is going to process this new judgment that has been made. And so fingers crossed, we'll see. But thank you. Well, someone says it's good that the pause has been lifted. Hopefully it has, right? Hopefully it has. Yes, there's a ruling, but we don't know yet. So I'm equally excited, but don't be too excited. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Okay. All right. Please let me know where you're joining in from and kindly share so that others will join. And then type in your questions as well. I am going to give you some updates. I think TikTok, we've already started. We've discussed the federal, the decision that came up today. I'll touch base on the memo that was issued on May 21st and what is happening with that. I'm also going to touch base on, I'll give you an update on some of the questions that are being asked based on that memo that was issued. Some questions that our clients have received, some RFEs that have come in since the 21st May memo was released. At some point, USCIS pedals down, so I'm going to discuss that. But let's get others to join. So please invite others to join. Share the feed, invite others to join. Okay, someone says I'm watching from Arizona. Thank you so much for joining. There's Utah, there's London. What's the time in London now? Thank you so much for joining. I do appreciate that. Okay, someone says I got my permanent residency last month. Listen, I have 3 clients that received theirs last month as well. Okay, I have 3 clients that received theirs last month as well. So for those saying that the pause has been lifted, yes, well, there was a ruling today by a federal judge. Is that enough to say that the pause has been lifted? I don't know. We don't know what the government is going to do. But then, of course, there's been a decision. There's been a ruling that was made today by a federal judge. So we wait and see. Today's Friday, right? The judgment came out today. The ruling was made today. We don't know whether it has been implemented yet. It's very important to have the yet at the back of your mind so that you don't go about telling everybody that, yes, it has been lifted and you're going to get your green cards. I want everybody to get their green cards. And I don't think the USCIS and this administration is handling immigration well. I think so. But yes, there was a ruling today. And the court found that USCIS has exceeded its authority by placing broad adjudication holds on applications without making decisions on individual cases, simply because of the countries they come from. And so, yes, there's been a ruling, there's been a decision today. As to whether it's going to be implemented today or Monday or even tomorrow, we don't know. Okay, we don't know. And so we wait and see. Let's see what happens on Monday. Let's see what happens in the coming week or two. It's the only time that we will know. Okay. But yes, that's out of the way now. Someone is asking, how long does it take to get your green card after the last interview? Why? How many interviews did you attend? Was it 1 or 2? Ordinarily, you have to attend 1 interview. If you're invited to attend a second interview, then things are not looking good. And so, if after your second interview you're waiting, fingers crossed, it shouldn't take long if everything went well. If your interview didn't go well, then you should be prepared for some visitation. Okay, USCIS can visit your home to make sure that you live where you say you live with a person that you claim to live with, and there's a relationship going on in there. And so after that, then you're going to make a decision. At least from some of the cases that I currently have, I've had a couple of clients whose interviews were conducted in November. It really didn't go well, and USCIS this month showed up in their homes. Okay, there's another one from December, and then USCIS showed up in their homes this month. May, I beg your pardon, May, not June, May. And so it depends. I won't be able to tell, but if your interview went well and you are not part of the 39 or 75 countries, then fingers crossed you should get that soon. Okay, someone says they're joining from Indianapolis. Thank you. There's Pennsylvania. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, someone just said you popped up on my feed. Thank you for joining. I am grateful. Thank you. Someone says I'm watching from Ghana. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Accra. Well, Accra is still Ghana, isn't it? Okay. Someone says I'm watching from Sunyani. Thank you. I do appreciate that. I am a Sunyani girl too. So thank you. Are you an attorney for the UK? No, I am in the United States. I'm not an attorney. I'm not licensed in the UK. So no. Okay. No. Okay. Someone says I'm watching from Utah. See, TikTok is where the fun is happening. Facebook and YouTube, they are quite bushy. Someone says, I'm watching from South Carolina. Thank you. There's North Carolina, there's New Jersey, there's New York. Someone is asking whether I got in late. No, you are not late. Okay, if you receive an RFE, what should you do? An RFE, for those that don't know, is a request for additional evidence, right? When you receive an RFE, please don't be worried. The USCIS is giving you an opportunity to provide them with additional information or additional evidence so they can make a decision on your case. Okay. So long as you are able to prove that whatever you're applying for is legitimate. So in this case, marriage based, you believe that your marriage is real, your marriage is bona fide, you entered into that marriage on a good faith basis and not for the sole purpose of obtaining immigration benefits. If the USCIS issues a request for evidence, the first thing you should do is to take your time to read it. Okay, you should read the RFE, make sure you understand what the USCIS is asking for or asking of you. There's always a deadline that you cannot miss. When you miss the deadline for your RFE, you are in trouble. So you don't want to miss the deadline. Okay, there's always a date somewhere in the RFE that you want to pin in your calendar. Make sure you read it. Don't panic. When you receive a request for evidence, you don't have to panic. It's not time to panic. It's a time to read to understand. And then whatever the USCIS is asking for, you prepare and then you send them that evidence. If it's marriage based, make sure you understand, make sure you're able to prove that your marriage is real and whatever it is they are looking for, you send it to them. If it's employment based, most of the time they're asking you to clarify a thing or two. And so read to understand and then respond. Don't respond emotionally, okay? When you receive an RFE, especially for employment based, it's not a time to be emotional about it. Shelve the emotions. Shelve the emotions. I was talking to someone recently. I said, well, if you're an immigration attorney, I think at some point the system is going to crush your emotions. So even if you have one, you probably would have to manage that and manage that well. So shelve your emotions when you receive a request for evidence for an employment-based petition. Sometimes the USCIS is asking you for almost everything you have submitted to them. I remember drafting and submitting an O1 petition for a client of mine in Nigeria. And then the USCIS issued an RFE requesting for almost everything that I submitted to them. And when I saw the RFE, I was so upset. I was so upset that I made a post on LinkedIn. I copied and mentioned the USCIS on LinkedIn as well. And there were other attorneys on there that shared my sentiments because apparently they had also received similar RFEs. This is when President Trump came to power and all the chaos was happening. And so I think these crop of officers were just misapplying the law. And it's as though there was a boilerplate for RFEs and NOIDs sitting there. So they just grab it and then they put whatever they want on there. The name of my client was different. The field of expertise was nothing that we had petitioned for. So clearly someone was not doing their job. So there are times that you can receive an RFE that has nothing to do with you. And if you are emotional about it, you probably end up typing things that you don't have to type on paper for a USCIS officer, right? And when they deny the petition, they're going to waste your time. You need time, at least 33 days to appeal that decision or simply refile. You don't want that. So don't respond to RFEs with emotions. Be very strategic. Even if they erred, there's a way to point out to them that, well, this is what the law says. This is what we submitted. This is what you're requesting. This is why you are wrong. This is why we are right. And then you respond with a strategy. However you go about it, make sure that you don't miss the deadline, because once you miss the deadline, that's it, right? And so for the one that's asking the question on the RFE. Okay. So let me give you maybe 2 or 3 updates, and then I'll continue with your questions. So on May 21st, I believe, 21st or 22nd, there was a memo that was issued that required that people here on temporary visas would have to go back home to process their green cards. I remember that I showed up here and I said, well, the USCIS was going to exercise some discretion in its decision, right, on who they would ask to leave the United States. And those that will be allowed. I think at the time I mentioned that I didn't believe the USCIS was going to ask everybody to leave. I also did mention that they were going to be challenged, right? This memo was going to be challenged. There were going to be lawsuits, class action flying in, and I can assure you so many organizations did that. But on June 2nd, they pedaled down, right? And so they have clarified that not everybody is expected to leave the country. Just like I said in the live stream, I believe last week or 2 weeks ago on Friday. And so, yes, not everybody will have to leave the United States. But after the memo, what we have noticed and what we have seen is that the USCIS is asking three main questions in their RFEs and during interviews. Okay. So when you attend your interviews for your marriage-based petitions or employment-based petitions, mostly the marriage-based petitions, the USCIS is asking three main questions, and this comes from at the back of the memo that was issued on May 21st. So the first question is that why did you apply for adjustment of status in the United States instead of going through consular processing? I'm not going to give you the answers. I just want you to be aware of the three questions that are being asked. If you need an attorney to help you with your petitions and then prep you, we prep our clients for interviews. And so your best bet will be to retain us, retain me as your attorney. My firm and I are going to prep you and then attend the interview with you as well. So one of the first questions that are being asked in interviews and RFEs is why did you apply for adjustment of status in the United States instead of going through consular process? And if you recall, I discussed that there are two ways to get a green card. If you're physically present here, then you adjust. You don't change your status. I think most people confuse that. You change your status from a non-immigrant to another non-immigrant status, right? You adjust from a non-immigrant to an immigrant status. And so if you're physically present here, you are adjusting. If you are abroad, then you undergo consular processing. And so USCIS is asking, why did you apply for an adjustment in the United States instead of going through consular processing? Question number 2, are there any factors that prevent you from applying through consular processing? If you recall, in the live stream session last week or 2 weeks ago, I did mention that for those that have overstayed their visa in the United States, if you pack up your bag and then you leave the country, it's going to trigger a ban, right? Depending on how long you have overstayed your visa in the United States. And so that's a hint, right? I also believe that I mentioned that if you happen to fall in that category where you have to exit the country, you want to make sure that you have a waiver approved. And that is going to help you deal with the issues of a ban. And so always make sure that there's a waiver approved before you exit the country. If you don't have that and then you pack your bags and leave the country, that is going to be a problem. Okay, it's going to trigger a ban depending on how long you have overstayed your visa. Then question number 3 is, why did you not return to your home country after your authorized period of stay expired and you became out of status? When you enter the United States, you are authorized to remain here for a certain period of time depending on the category of visa you were issued. Now, even if you were issued a 5-year visa, it is your I-94 that determines how long you're authorized to remain here. And so if you have a multiple entry, which is the 5 years, your I-94 can still give you 6 months to be here. And you don't have to exhaust all the 6 months. I mean, my recommendation is you're here about 4 months, not even 5 months, not 5 months in a few weeks. I know someone who stayed until I think a day, I believe it was a day to the I-94 expiring. And the moment they exited the country, the USCIS, CBP, I beg your pardon, revoked the multiple visa that the person had. Especially in these times, you don't even want to risk that. So it's your I-94 that determines how long you're authorized to remain here. And so the third question that USCIS is asking is that why did you not return to your home country after your authorized period of stay expired and you became out of status? So your I-94 is going to determine how long you're supposed to be here. And so if you stay your visa, you attend the interview, you should prepare to answer these three questions. At least I know a couple of our clients that have been asked these questions, and we have received an RFE that has these three questions as well. But remember that immigration benefits, as I mentioned the last time, is purely discretionary. Officers are not asking everybody the same set of questions. Okay, so you're likely to attend an interview and not be asked these three questions, but you're also likely to attend an interview and be asked these three questions. And so make sure that you have that at the back of your mind. Update number 2 is that a federal judge unfreezes green card cases for nationals of 39 countries. And I think I logged onto Facebook a little late because of a technical issue. And so we discussed this on TikTok already. That a federal judge recently, that is today, ruled that the USCIS cannot indefinitely freeze or delay immigration applications solely has exceeded its authority by placing broad adjudication holds on applications without making decisions on individual cases. The government's likely to appeal, absolutely. But what does this mean for applicants? What does the judgment by the federal judge today, what does that mean for applicants? It means that USCIS may, okay, may, I'm not saying the USCIS will, I'm saying the USCIS may begin moving forward with previously stalled cases. And so applicants should monitor their USCIS accounts for updates, okay? For cases that have been stalled for a while, requests for evidence, interview notices, and other case activity may increase as processing resumes. Again, the USCIS may begin moving forward. We are not certain whether or not the government is going to appeal that. I don't know. We'll know in the coming weeks. But if they start processing and they do not, that's the government. If the government does not appeal this decision, then the USCIS may start moving forward, right? They will move forward processing previously stalled cases. And so applicants should monitor their USCIS accounts for any updates. Applicants should also ensure their contact information is current and remain prepared to respond to any USCIS request. I mean, if the government does not appeal this, then we're going to see lots of RFEs, like we already are seeing lots of RFEs. Today, I spoke to a colleague of mine, and he said that he has not received an approval since 2024. Of course, he's still in practice, he's still practicing immigration, but he has not received one approval since 2024. That's the times that we find ourselves, right? The government may appeal the ruling, and USCIS may issue additional guidance regarding implementation. We don't know yet. The ruling was just today. Everybody's excited about it. I am super excited about it because I have lots of clients who are part of the 39 countries, and I keep receiving emails and phone calls and WhatsApp messages and text messages every single day. I have a couple of clients in New York who are at this point upset that their petitions are not being processed, and for some strange reasons they blame the lawyers. That's not fair. Don't do that. So yes, the government may appeal. We don't know if the government does not appeal. We believe that the USCIS may issue additional guidance regarding its implementation. So fingers crossed, we wait and see. Okay. The third update that I want to give before I take questions, I see lots of questions on TikTok, is increased screening and vetting. Okay. So cases are being delayed after biometrics. And many applicants believe biometrics simply means approvals, and that is not true. I mean, previously, when you receive your receipt notice from the USCIS and then biometrics is scheduled, you attend your biometrics and you get it done, then the next thing, of course, is that you're going to receive an approval for your work authorization. But now it simply doesn't work that way, right? And so USCIS is conducting additional security checks, fingerprint reviews, database reviews, immigration history reviews. Okay, immigration history reviews. I want to touch on that a bit. I've always said that USCIS is a record keeping agency. All right, that means that whatever information, whatever form you have completed as far as coming to the United States is concerned is here. When you apply for any immigration benefits, the USCIS is going to review that. And so now they're doing that a lot more. And so what is the USCIS looking for? They're looking for prior immigration violations, criminal issues, fraud indicators, national security concerns, identity verifications. Okay. Now, how far back does the USCIS go? Potentially decades. And that is why I have often said that whatever information you provide to the National Visa Center when you are trying to enter the United States is here waiting for you. When the USCIS is conducting background checks and screening and reviews of prior applications, they go as far back as maybe over a decade. They're also looking at prior petitions. Any petitions that have been submitted before, they're looking at it to check for inconsistencies, any prior marriages. And so for those that say that, oh, I got married through traditional, we don't have marriage certificates, there's nothing to show that we are married, you still have to disclose that. You cannot omit that information, okay? And for those that got married abroad because they had to establish some ties back home, we all know that before you're able to get a temporary visa, especially the B1, B2, you have to establish that you have some ties back home. And people are forced to state in their DS-160 they are married when actually they are not. And that is a way of establishing ties in your home country. And so for all those prior marriages, you want to make sure that you have enough evidence to prove that that marriage is no longer there. When you fail to disclose any prior marriage or you fail to provide evidence that that marriage is no longer there, that is a problem. Prior entries into the United States and prior visa denials. Last week, we received a note for a client, and it was devastating. This client had worked with agents throughout and trusted agents and relied on these agents. And it was these same agents that messed this client up. And it was quite sad being on the phone with the clients and the clients letting me know that for years, this person had worked with a particular agent for all their international travel, and there's been no issue, right? And in an attempt to enter the United States, the agent had petitioned for this person for about 4 or 5 times, and lots of inconsistencies, date of birth, prior refusal, date of birth for parents, lots of inconsistencies. But they still got the visa at some point into the United States. And after being here for a while, filing for their green card, then USCIS pulls all the previous DS-160 that was submitted earlier through the same agent. Now, the downside is when you work with an agent and then you sign the form, You're saying that everything in there is true and everything in there, you put it there, you completed the form. If an agent signs it, anytime I complete a DS 160 for any client, I put it in there that they had a preparer and the preparer is me. So hopefully my clients are giving me the right information. And I tell my clients, you have to tell me the truth. If you give me the opportunity to say I'm going to represent you or not. And so if you are omitting an information or you are lying about something, give me the opportunity to say yes, I'll go ahead with it, or no, I would not. And I'm likely to say no if you tell me the truth. That saves you and that saves me as well, right? So anytime I complete a DS 160 for clients, I put my name there as the preparer. And so if anything goes wrong, it's on me, it's not on them, right? And so you always want to make sure that if you're working with an agent, you're working with a preparer, you put it in there that you got help from someone. And so when things go wrong, you can always say that you didn't, even if you didn't review it, right? So long as there's someone's name in there that they prepare the form, they were your agent, that helps you. But in this case, this person didn't, I mean, their agents, and most agents don't put their names there. In a conversation with my mom says, I could see most of these agents have not even traveled. They have never traveled. So how can someone who has never traveled to the United States be your agent? They haven't experienced it. They don't know what it feels like. They haven't completed the forms themselves. They take your monies and then they complete the forms on your behalf. And because you trust them, you're not looking at these forms, right? And so you want to make sure that even if you're working with an agent, the agent is putting in their name. If anything goes wrong, it's on the agent, it's really not on you. And so this person didn't do that, and we receive a noise, very devastating. Um, I mean, we are filing some waiver, fraud waiver, misrepresentation waiver, and then we'll see how that goes. But you don't want to put yourself there because you're not guaranteed whether the waiver is going to be approved or not. And so better safe than sorry. Now, why consistency matters? Consistency matters a lot because USCIS is a record keeping agency. And so what you tell the National Visa Center or the USCIS 10 years ago or many years ago may be compared to what you're telling them now, right? Whatever it is you say to them years ago, they're going to compare that to whatever you're saying now. And so you want to make sure that it's consistent. So inconsistencies are often more dangerous than um, any underlying issue. So make sure that you're consistent. The last updates that I want to give you before I read out your questions is going to be immigration fraud detection efforts. Now, what is the USCIS doing about immigration fraud? USCIS has increased fraud investigations and announced enforcement actions involving hundreds of suspected fraudulent cases. Marriage fraud investigation. Last week, I happened to have had two of them. The USCIS visited two of my clients, and in different states, not in one state, in different states. And for a client of mine in New York, the spouse lived in Alabama, which is Georgia, right? USCIS officers showed up there at the same time. So there are officers in the guy's house in New Jersey. There are officers in the lady's house in Alabama, in Georgia, at the same time. So you don't even have time to compare notes. You don't have time to call each other and say, USC has just left my house, so leave your house. Maybe they're about to show up at yours. You don't have time to do that because they're showing up at the same time. And the questions that were asked, it was bad. It was bad. And there was a similar incident in another state, Chicago. Terrible. And so USCIS, I mean, fraud investigation, it's on a different level now. When you put yourself on the dating market and you fall in love with a US citizen, you want to make sure that you are able to prove that your marriage is real. And when you attend interviews, I was surprised to know that, I'm not surprised because I've worked in the federal space before. When you're entering any federal building, there are cameras everywhere. So the cameras are capturing you, people coming in, coming out. your conversations. Anytime I have attended interviews with clients, I tell them, okay, let's get out of here. So let's get out of this building and then we can talk. And I've had moments where the interview was so bad that as soon as we get out, the clients are fighting already. They begin the fights in the federal building. And sometimes it's funny. Sometimes I just have to excuse myself and let them fight. And when they are done, they'll come to me. I've had an instance where I said to the clients, okay, I have to head to my hotel and head to the airport. When you guys are settled with your fight, we can hop over Zoom to discuss how this interview went, because both of them get upset that the answers they were given were different, different from how they prepared, right, or what they prepared for. Now, I have often said that it's not the truth or the lie you are telling, like it is how you're telling the truth or how you're telling the lie. Of course, you don't have to lie to a USCIS officer. 90% of the time, the questions they are asking you, they already have answers to it. And so I mentioned this on Wednesday. I was in a webinar with a group of people, and I said to them that these officers, I had spoken to a USCIS officer, and then the USCIS officer said that, Akosua, 90% of the time, we have the answers. We know what the answer is. And so we are just hoping that the other 10 or the other 5 that we don't know, you're going to be truthful about it. But we are able to make that judgment whether or not you're being truthful about the 5 or 10% that we don't know based on the 90% that we know. And so officers are asking you questions that you already have answers to. Your ability to be honest, to be truthful is going to save you. And I've often said to clients that if you don't have an answer, or you have forgotten, or you are not sure, it's okay. I don't think you know every single thing about your spouse. I don't think so. I don't believe so. And so if you don't have an answer, that is perfectly okay. Versus lying. So I remember in one of these interviews, I was sitting there like, wow. One person comes, it was a Stokes interview. One person comes in first, and I'm writing the questions that are being asked within a very short time, and then the answers that they're giving. And then interview is done, the lady comes in, and these officers are so sneaky. They are laughing with you, but then they know. I remember so well. The officer interviewed the guy who's the US citizen and said, oh, between coffee and tea, what is your favorite? The guy says, I love coffee. And the officer says, okay, what does your wife prefer, coffee or tea? Confidently, the guy says, oh, my wife loves tea. And then the officer says, you know what? I love tea too. So the lady comes in and the officer is asking the same set of questions. The lady says, oh, I love coffee. And I'm sitting there and the officer says, I love coffee. Coffee is my favorite. This is a cup of coffee. I'm drinking coffee. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, don't be fooled when USCIS officers are being nice and playful. They are not representing your interests, right? They are not. And so in this interview, I knew from the get-go, it was so bad. It was so bad. I mean, I'm comparing the answers that my clients are giving, very embarrassing. And fast forward, we step out, and every client's first question, how did it go? Especially when it's a Stokes interview, because you're the one that is going to tell them, attorney, how did it go? And I'm very honest to tell my clients, it didn't go well. Lots of inconsistencies, lots of them, more than 60%. And there and then they started fighting. Unfortunately, the cameras had captured them. And so when USCI showed up at their homes, this is a client in New Jersey. When the USCI showed up at their home, they said, well, this is you, right? And this is your spouse. But everything we are seeing in this house is completely different from the person that we know to be your spouse. What do you do about that? What do you say about that? Nothing. So fraud investigation is on the rise. When you get married, make sure that you're able to establish that your marriage is real. USCIS is checking prior immigration filings, every petition that you have filed before, whether marriage-based, employment-based, whatever it is that you have ever submitted to the USCIS, they are checking that. So things like employment history, make sure that they match. Your names. I believe latter part of last year, someone had reached out. This person was not my client, and the USCIS have denied the petition because they believe that the person was two different people. So, for example, my name, Akosua Owusua Kissi. Akosua is my first name, Kissi is my last name, Owusua is my middle name. But there's been some previous forms where the lady had written Akosua Owusua Kissi first, middle, last name. But then there were other forms where she wrote Akosua Kissi Owusua, meaning the Owusua was the last name and then Kissi was the middle name. And USCIS says, well, they are two different people. So send us the birth certificate or passport for who you are. And then the passport she submitted corroborated the switch, right? Making the Owusua a last name and then a Kissi a middle name. And USCIS denied the petition. So there are little things that they are looking out for. You want to make sure that your prior immigration filings are consistent. I have often said that if you are not sure of any information that the USCIS has, that the National Visa Center has, you have the option to request for your document. You have the option to request for your file by filing a FOIA request. When you file this FOIA request, you get to review it before you resubmit any petition so that you're not contradicting yourself. Yes, now consequences of or repercussions of misrepresentation. A fraud finding can lead to a denial. It can lead to removal proceedings where the USCIS is going to issue a notice to appear in court, and then permanent inadmissibility. Denaturalization is also a serious one. Maybe sometime next week or two, we'll have a session with an immigration officer that has worked with the USCIS, inside the USCIS for 30 years. And this man, I have interacted with him for a while, and he has been on some denaturalization cases, and the details was just something else. I mean, the reasons why they just revoked other people's citizenship was quite interesting. So keep an eye on our social media pages. That will be coming up shortly. Why old application matters? Because many people forget what they submitted years ago. So always request for FOIA, okay? Request for your documents and make sure that your social media representation match exactly what you are representing to the USCIS, okay? There shouldn't be inconsistencies. I think I've also told a story about someone who was married to person A before the USCIS and married to person B on social media. And so when USCIS was conducting investigation, they didn't even have to go home. It was the person's social media that gave her up, right? It was just a social media representation. It wasn't one picture, it wasn't two pictures. No, there was a huge proposal, then marriage ceremony. This is after the person got their green card. They traveled to Ghana to have a whole marriage ceremony, and everything was posted on social media. I also know someone who is married to someone here, purchased the property, and before the USCIS, they lived together. But then this person purchased the property and then posted it on social media. And it was very easy to tell the address. The person's car was there. People that know that area knew the area very well, and it was very easy for USCIS to make that determination as well. And so USCIS showed up at the house where she claimed to live before the USCIS, and then showed up at the address that was on social media, and that's how the person also got caught. And so make sure that your representations before the USCIS and social media are consistent as well. All right, so I'm going to take your questions and then we'll call it a day. I think there's one question on YouTube that says, is it common to go for an I-130 interview, and what is the likelihood that it will be approved? Yes, it's common. If you don't do concurrent filing, where you're filing the I-130 and I-485, remember that the I-130 is to establish the relationship between you and your petitioner. And so your interview for I-130 is a must. Even when you file concurrently, that is the I-130, the I-485, and you are invited to attend an interview, most of the questions are going to center on the I-130. And so is it common for an I-130 interview to be conducted? Yes, it is. what is the likelihood that it's going to be approved? For the one asking this question on YouTube, you should know that it's the answers that you're going to give. If your answers are genuine, based on the information that the USCIS has, and based on the relationship that you have with your petitioner, then your chances of getting approval for the I-130 is high. That's a very good question on YouTube. Okay, I'll take some questions on TikTok, and if there are more questions on Facebook or TikTok, I would read that as well. Okay, so what pieces of evidence do I need to submit when filing for my marriage-based green card? So when I tell you that you're not going to retain me, so I'll give you about 2 answers, but it's very important to retain me so I can represent you, because I will help you put your evidence together. If I give you everything, then you won't have a need for a lawyer, isn't it? But to establish that your marriage is real, one most important thing, that you're actually married, is a marriage certificate, right? You have to have a marriage certificate to show that you are married. Number 2, you need evidence to prove that you cohabit with your spouse. And so with that comes with a joint lease, right? A joint lease. So I'll give you just these 2, but I want you to give my office a call, 703-705-9905, so we can represent you in your marriage-based petitions. You can also head to our website and schedule a consultation or book a consultation at ablegalconsult.com/booking. ablegalconsult.com/booking. I highly recommend that you work with an attorney. Don't work with a preparer. I just posted the booking link there on Facebook. It's on YouTube as well. And when you check TikTok, is in our bio. Just click the link, book a consultation, and whatever you pay for the consultation is going to be applied to the attorney fees. Okay, so I've given you 2 pieces of evidence that you need, but make sure that you retain me, and then I can help you with the rest of the information that you need, or the evidence that you need. Okay, my interview has been scheduled for next month. Would you be able to help me? What interview has been scheduled? What petition did you apply for? I have to understand that. You should also book a consultation, and then we'll spend time understanding your history. I mean, your immigration history, how you enter the United States. You know, most people enter the United States. Some people, not most people. Let me correct myself. Some people enter the United States through the border. Let me tell you, if you were not admitted, if you were not paroled, if you didn't have a visa, you didn't sit on a plane, or you were not paroled into the United States, at some point you'll have to exit the United States. Don't let anyone take your money. Yesterday, I had a consultation with a lady who had come through the border, a Ghanaian lady, entered the United States through the border and worked with preparers for the last 10 years. And for some reasons, they take her money, they apply for the I-130 and say, oh, you're going to get your green card. No. If you enter the United States without admission, without being paroled into the United States, at some point you have to exit and come back well, or come back right. Now, what does that entail? You can go ahead and file for your I-130, get the approval for your I-130. But when you apply for your I-485, it is not going to get approved because you didn't enter the United States well. You have to file for some waivers, or a waiver, depending on your circumstance. A waiver has to be filed for you, and then make sure that that waiver is approved before you exit the country. Because again, once you exit, you won't be able to come back in. You exit the country and then you come back well. So you will have to undergo consular processing. So if you enter the United States through the border, and anyone says to you that they will be able to get you a green card, the person is taking your money. It's not possible. It's not. And so for those that work with preparers, please, please, please be mindful. And for those that have marriage fraud or immigration fraud, it follows you over and over and over. If a waiver does not save you, or a waiver is not approved on your behalf, your immigration fraud is going to follow you in the next petition and all subsequent petitions. Okay, Anthony says, good for the updates. Thank you. Oh, yeah, thank you so much. Good to see you. This is your first time joining, right? Thank you so much. That's my childhood friend from primary JSS. Thank you so much for joining. It's very good to see you. And you're doing well with Linny Bakes. Keep it up. Except that you're in the UK, so you can. I don't know if you can ship. You can ship some to me. Let me know. We can work something out. But you're also doing great. Thank you so much. Okay. So if you are a citizen in the United States, how long does it take to get a visa to go to Ghana? It shouldn't take long. Some of these questions, I don't even know how to answer them. If you're a US citizen, just apply for a visa. You know what? Give me a call. Give my office a call. We can help you get a visa. If you're a US citizen and then you're looking to go to Ghana and you need a visa to Ghana, please give us a call. For those asking that question on TikTok, in our bio, there's a booking link there. But also give us a call at 703-705-9905. The number again is 703-705-9905. Please give me a call and we'll help you get a visa to Ghana. Okay. So give us a call. Please give us a call. 703-705-9905. Okay, someone is asking, has the ban been lifted for the 75 countries? No. And if no, you already have the answer. And if no, when is the ban going to be lifted? I don't know. I wish I did. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I wish I could say something else. I really don't know. Okay, Penelope says, I have my marriage-based interview in 2 weeks and I'm nervous. What do I do? Okay, Penelope, do you have an attorney? If you don't have an attorney, it's important to retain one. I recommend that you call my office or check our bio on TikTok and schedule a session with me. We are going to prep you. My office is going to prep you and then we can attend the interview with you, but it's going to come at a cost. If you have an attorney, that's fine. If you don't, we're happy to do that. But what is going to happen is you schedule a consultation and then you send us your immigration records. Whatever you submitted to the USCIS, we need to review it. So we're going to review it, make sure we understand, and then we can prep you. We prep our clients with 2 sessions, an hour each. So all our clients have 2 interview prep sessions with us, and then we attend the interview with them as well. Not every attorney does that. Some charge to attend. Well, most people charge to attend the interview. We don't do that. It comes with the fees that you pay from the onset. And so, Penelope, please check our bio, book a consultation, and however much we're going to charge you, that consultation fee is going to be applied to the attorney fees. We're going to prep you and then we'll attend the interview with you as well. Okay. All right. Another person is asking how they can get a Ghana visa. I encourage everybody to visit Ghana. Ghana is a place to be, very beautiful, very peaceful. And for those that need a visa, please give my office a call, 703-705-9905. 703-705-9905. We will help you get a visa. You're going to pay though, it's not free. We'll help you get a visa and then you should go see Ghana. You would love Ghana. Okay, Francis says, keep up the good work. Thank you. I would like to work with you this August for my EB2 NIW. That's great. I encourage you to do that. What I'm going to do, Francis, is we are posting the link to the eligibility platform. I highly encourage you to complete that, upload your CV, let us evaluate your CV, and then make a determination that you are a good candidate for the EB2 NIW, and then we can create a folder for you. We'll create a folder here at AB Legal Consult for you. When you're ready, we can start the process. We'll begin the process with you. And so please complete the eligibility link and then upload your CV, submit it. And what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate it and we'll start the process with you when you're ready. I look forward to working with you as well. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Okay, someone is asking, how can I call you? Well, don't call now, but please call later after the live stream at 703-705-9905. The number again is 703-705-9905. Okay, someone says, we invited this attorney to explain some vital information to Ghanaian teachers in the United States. Oh, I'm sure you're part of the J1 teachers. I had a blast. it was a very good session, and a few people reached out. So thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I have a few more people that have asked that we post these sessions on our social media pages so they can join. So hopefully we'll do that next time. But I also had a good time with the J1 teachers. Thank you for having me. I do appreciate that as well. Thank you. Okay, greetings. I have a US visa in 2011, but I couldn't use it because of some reasons. Can we talk? You mean you had a US visa? Okay. If you couldn't use your visa, I'm not sure what services you need. If you want us to help you get another visa, we are happy to do that. But please give our office a call, 703-705-9905. 703-705-9905. Okay, another person says it's been 39 days since my fingerprint, but no updates for interview. Any idea how long it's going to take? I'm not sure. Okay, these things are taking longer than they are supposed to, and I sincerely empathize with you. But these are things that we can't do anything about. Okay, it's Alabama. Okay, let's see. Did my marriage interview in Newark, and it was approved last month. Fantastic. Congratulations on that. I attended an interview with a client, I think in February. It was on a Monday, and then on Tuesday, uh, the petition was granted, right? The interview was approved. And so it comes back to, I'm not sure how these officers are even processing these petitions anymore. Okay, I'm not sure. But yeah, I have been in an interview. It was in February, remember? So it was a Monday. Tuesday, we received an approval. So yes, I believe you. For the one that said that, I do believe you. Okay, I do believe you. I do believe you. Okay, so someone says our record shows nothing is outstanding. As at this time, we filed the I-130 and I-485. What do we do? It's more of a waiting game. It's a waiting game. You just have to wait. You just have to wait. Okay, you just have to wait. You just have to wait. I'm so sorry. Okay, how do you determine that a marriage is fraud? How else should I explain that? I'm not sure how else to explain that. So the the legal presumption is that all marriages are fraud, right? And so you, the applicants, rebut that presumption. And that's why you submit pieces of evidence to prove that your marriage is real. And I think I have listed two of the evidence that you can submit. I highly recommend that you call my office so we can represent you for your marriage-based petitions, your employment-based petitions, your naturalizations and citizenships as well. And you can reach us at 703-705-9905. Okay, 703-705-9905. Okay, what do I do when I attend an interview? You have to be truthful. One, you have to prepare. That's the first thing. You have to prepare. You have to make sure that you are prepared for that interview. That's number one. Number two, you have to be honest. Again, it's not about the truth or the lie you're telling, like it is how you're telling the truth and how you're telling the lie. But you have to be very honest. You have to be transparent. You have to be honest. It's important that you attend the interview with your lawyer because the USCIS officer is not representing your interests. It's your attorney that is representing your interests. I think I've shared this story before where I am in an interview with my clients and the officer was asking certain sensitive questions and I'm seated behind my client and I noticed my client was crying. And the officer, who was a woman, female, asking these sensitive questions just kept going and going and going. She didn't even pause for a second to, pay attention to the fact that my client was crying. Her voice was visibly shaking. She was sniffing. It was very easy to know that my client was crying because of the questions. The questions were quite sensitive. And so the moment I noticed that, I was hoping the officer was going to pause. She didn't. And so I asked the officer to pause the interview. And then we need a tissue for my clients to make sure that my client was okay before we continue the interview. I also asked my client to get water. So I asked the officer whether she had a bottle of water, and thankfully she did, which was quite funny. The officer says, I'm not here to give bottles of water. I'm like, I know, but in this case, we need one, right? And so it's only your attorney that is there to represent your best interests. And so if you have been scheduled for an interview, one, make sure you are prepared. Two, make sure you have an attorney. Number three, make sure you are very honest. Be honest and don't contradict yourself. It's not time to be friendly. The officers are not your friends. Some of them will trick you, some of them will try to play nice, some of them are genuinely nice, some of them are not. It's very important to read the room. Read the room, make sure that you know your audience. It's just like public speaking. You have to read the room. You're speaking to your audience. Make sure that you are able to read the officer to know whether this officer is going to be nice or not. And then, as much as you can, I tell my clients, set the tone. It's just like attending an interview to get a visa. Sets the tone of that interview, right? If the officer is nice, you get to set a tone. If the officer is not, just set the tone of the interview. Sometimes it works. Well, most times it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And so you want to be prepared for either scenario, right? But yeah, be very honest. Make sure you know your stuff, and it's okay not to remember everything. I don't think and I don't believe that everyone knows 100% everything about their spouses. So you don't necessarily have to know everything about your spouse. You don't necessarily have to get all the answers correct. If you cannot remember, be very honest about that. It's important to say you don't remember, and it's safe to say you don't remember than to lie. Because again, the officers have most of the answers that they are asking for. And so make sure that you are not lying through the answers that you're giving. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. Please, can I appeal when I am being refused a Canada visa? I'm not a Canadian attorney, so I won't be able to speak to that. I am sorry. Um, how soon do I get my extension after applying for removal of conditions after biometrics? Um, it depends. It depends on the backlog. Okay, it depends, but it shouldn't take long. Has it been more than 3 months? If it has, then I encourage you to contact the USCIS. Call them and then request to speak to a supervisor. They should be able to give you some updates on that. Oh, you've asked the same question 6 times. Interesting. Okay. My mom is 80 years old and she forgot her citizenship appointment. How can she have another appointment? Have you called the USCIS? Number one, how long has she been here? Well, regardless of her age, she would attend an interview, right? Unless there's something else going on with her mentally, then an interview will be waived. But depending on how long she has been here, she's not going to be asked the full set of questions. Okay, depending on how long she's been a green card holder and has lived here, she's not going to be asked a full set of questions. And so contact the USCIS if you don't have an attorney. I'm happy to represent your 80-year-old mom. Give us a call at 703-705-9905. The number again is 703-705-9905. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. Can I change my status, my visa from B1, B2 to F1? Absolutely, you can do that. Except that you need some pieces of evidence. My office can represent you. If you're on a B1, B2, or you enter on a B1, B2, and you're looking to change your status to the F1, my office can represent you. Give us a call, 703-705-9905. For the one that asked the question on TikTok, when you check our bio, our booking link is there. I encourage you to book a consultation and then meet with me and my team, and we will help you. Okay, what if I make a mistake on my DS-160? If you make a mistake on the DS-160, complete a new one. Don't attend the interview with the one that you erred on. That one is not correct, right? And so That is, if you have already submitted it, you won't be able to amend it. And so you want to make sure that you are attending the interview with the right DS-160. And so the moment you notice that you have made a mistake, it's important that you resubmit or you re-complete a new DS-160. Okay. The number again is 703-705-9905. 703-705-9905. Okay. Am I missing any other questions on TikTok? I don't think so. Oh, well, there's 99 more messages. Let's scroll and see. Are you a Ghanaian, if I may ask? I don't think that's a legal question, is it? If I have overstayed my visa in the United States, can I still get married to a US citizen? Would I be able to get my green card? Well, you should be able to. Hopefully, you're able to prove that your marriage is real. Okay. Hopefully, you're able to prove that your marriage is real. And I mentioned some 3 questions that the USCIS is asking now based on the memo that was issued. Number 1, why did you apply for adjustment in the United States instead of undergoing consular processing? Number 2, are there any factors that prevent you from applying through consular processing? And for the one that has overstayed their visa, number 3, why did you not return to your home country after your authorized period of stay expired and you became out of status? So depending on your circumstance, these are some of the questions that you're going to get. But are you able to marry a US citizen? If you're in love with that US citizen, why not? You should be able to, right? So long as you're able to prove that your marriage is real, I, you can find love anywhere. You can find love in the United States. You can find love with a US citizen or a green card holder. I don't think that is your question, but the actual question you're asking, I'm not going to answer that. When you put yourself on the dating market and you get married, I hope you're able to prove that your marriage is real. I think that's the most important thing. But as to whether you can, definitely you are able to. You're free to fall in love with anyone, including people that are undocumented. Okay, and so. Yes. Can an attorney push the process fast if you apply for a sister in Ghana? I-130 has been approved in this past 4 years. It depends. It depends. If there are any circumstances that would require like a medical, humanitarian reasons, that would require your sister to be here sooner, that's something that an attorney will be able to do. All right, that's something that an attorney will be able to do. What is the current status on adjustment for F1 student married to a US citizen? You should go ahead and apply. Go ahead and apply. I know there's so much going out there, lots of news. Everybody's throwing in their 2 cents and all that. But USCIS is still processing petitions. Are they issuing out green cards? It depends. But they're still processing petitions. If you're an F1 student, can you fall in love with a US citizen? Yes, your F1 status is a non-immigrant intent visa status. And when you marry a US citizen, you move from the non-immigrant to an immigrant intent. And so that changes a lot. But give my office a call, 703-705-9905, and then let us help you with your petitions. Okay. My husband's family peer pressured me to work with fake documents. Can I apply for VAWA? How do they peer pressure you to work with fake documents? I know give my office a call. I need to understand. So I'm not going to give you legal advice. I have to understand the circumstance of being peer pressured to work with fake documents. If you're married, then you've attained the age of legal majority. You are not a minor. So how do they peer pressure you to work with fake documents? Please check the bio on LinkedIn, schedule a consultation with me. Let me understand the circumstance and I will be able to give you legal advice. All right. Until then, I won't be able to tell whether or not you can file for your VAWA petition. The number again is 703-705-9905. Pastor Joshua, thank you. Thank you so much. It's always nice to see you here. Thank you so much. And thank you for typing in the number. You see, I have my assistants here, but they are not doing, I have to fire them. Thank you. I do appreciate the efforts. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So someone is asking, how long can it take for me to marry a US citizen after I have divorced? Why is your question centered on getting married to a US citizen and not anyone else? So I'm going to rephrase the question and then I'll give you an answer. So how long do you need to get married after a divorce? The focus shouldn't be on a US citizen. The law does not state a timeline within which you should get married and within which you should file for your immigration petitions. The law does not state any timeline. However, it's very important to note that if you get married in January and then you file for divorce in February, and then everything goes through by the end of February or March, and then you get married again in April, that is a problem. That can easily be seen as a red flag, right? And the same is true for people that get married and immediately file. So you enter the US on a B1, B2, you wait for 90 days, you get married, and you immediately file for your marriage-based petitions. The law does not set a timeline within which you should file after getting married. However, it's important that you are able to prove that your marriage is real. How do you prove that your marriage is real? There are certain pieces of evidence that I have mentioned. I think I've mentioned two. If you want to know the rest and you need an attorney to help you with putting your marriage-based petitions together, give my office a call, 703-705-9905. We can help you put your evidence together. We are not going to create the evidence for you. You would have to give us the evidence. We're going to review to make sure that they are legitimate, number one. Number two, they are not setting you up. I remember reviewing someone's bank account, the records, and it was very clear that the person that had entered the US on a B1, B2 and not supposed to work was working and receiving paychecks bi-weekly. That is a problem. So that's where we come in. We are not going to put evidence together for you. We don't fabricate evidence. We don't do that here. We're going to review the evidence and make sure that it's good enough. Okay. And if you enter the US on a B1, B2, you're not authorized to work. The status of your visa does not authorize that you work in the United States. And so if you find ways and means to do that, that's entirely up to you. But you are not authorized to work. Now, previously, if you married a US citizen, unauthorized work, visa overstay were things that were waived. Is it the same under this current administration? It depends. It comes back on discretion, right? The discretionary standard that we discussed last week. It falls back on discretion. So for the one that is asking how we can help you or when you should get married and file, please give my office a call, 703-705-9905. Okay, which states are we? We are in Springfield, Virginia. Springfield is the city, Virginia is the state, but we are licensed, and so we represent clients across all 50 states. No matter where you are, we can represent you. We can represent you in court as well. We don't only do paperwork. We go with you to interviews, and then we attend your court hearings with you as well. Your deportation cases, because we are licensed, we can represent you. Okay. All right. Can you touch on social media and petitions that are filed? Yes, I can do that. It's actually one of my favorite things. And in summary, you want to make sure that your activities on social media match exactly what is happening with your documents before the USCIS. Okay, that's to say that if you're married to someone in your forms before the USCIS on social media, you should be married to the same person, or you shouldn't even be married to anyone on social media. So your social media activities must match your immigration petition before the USCIS. That's a very simple way to summarize it. Okay, that's a very simple way to summarize it. And so don't contradict yourself. Don't set yourself up. If you know you're married to two people, be careful, because that can be a problem. All right. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. All right. Do you recommend that I file an appeal or refile my petition when it's denied? It depends. It depends. It depends. So if your petition is a marriage-based petition and it was denied because of an error you made, or let's say it was denied because you didn't respond to a request for evidence or you didn't receive a notice, then you should simply refile. And I know that it's going to be heavy on the pocket, but that's the best way to go. You can file an appeal when the USCIS erred. So they made a mistake. Then you can file an appeal. You can file a motion to reopen or a motion to reconsider. And the same is true for employment-based as well. The same is true for your O1 visas, the R1 visas. If the USCIS erred in their decision, they made a mistake in their decision, they misapplied the law, then of course you can file a motion to reconsider, a motion to reopen, or an appeal. But it depends. It depends on the circumstance, okay? Now, that takes a while compared to simply refiling, especially if you're doing an employment-based where you can file for the premium processing, where you're telling the USCIS, I'm paying you to process my petition faster, then maybe simply refiling is going to be faster for you versus appealing or filing a motion to reopen or reconsider. That can take some time. So it depends. And this is me not trying to sound like a lawyer with it depends on stuff, but it really depends. Okay. All right. Okay. If you are looking for an attorney to help you with your immigration petitions, we are licensed to do that. We are licensed to represent clients across all 50 states. And so please head to our website to book a consultation at www.ablegalconsult.com/booking, or just give us a call at 703-705-9905. The number again is 703-705-9905. So that is a desk phone. That is the office number, but it also has a WhatsApp presence. Okay, so you can drop your messages to the same number on WhatsApp, not text message. We don't have text message feature because it's a desk phone, but it has a WhatsApp presence. So if you have any questions or you want the booking link, let's say you didn't get it, please send a message to our WhatsApp at 703-705-9905. And please follow us across all our social media platforms. We post engaging updates, immigration tips. We are present everywhere: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, AB Legal Consult, and then on TikTok is the Immigrant Attorney. Please follow us for more immigration tips. And in the coming weeks, we will be bringing in someone who has worked in the USCIS for over 30 years. This man has lots of experience. I have engaged him on a number of my cases, some of my complicated cases. Awesome man. He knows his stuff. He has processed lots of immigration petitions, marriage-based, citizenship. We'll be bringing him in the coming weeks. So please follow our social media pages for the date. It's going to be announced very soon. And then keep an eye on our social media pages as well. We have an immigration clinic coming up sometime this year. And with the immigration clinic, what is going to happen is we are going to open our booking link for 20 minutes consultation, free consultation with me. But it's just going to be open for a number of hours in that day, right? So it's going to be just one day, and our offices are also going to be opened as well for that day. So you can walk in, you can talk to me, my staff, everybody's going to be here. And if you do retain us that day, so you don't have to be in the DMV area to partake in the immigration clinic, okay? If you call us on that day, you're going to get to speak with someone here. And then if you're willing to retain us based on the legal advice and then the strategy that we give you based on what you tell us, and then you retain us, you're going to get a discount. So that is also coming up. Please keep an eye on our social media pages for the dates as well. And it's past 7. Enjoy your weekend. Stay well. Stay safe. If you're an enforcement priority, meaning that you have some criminal records, um, you have overstayed your visa, you are currently reporting to ICE, or you are in immigration courts battling with your deportation issues. It's very important that you are careful. Be very careful. The USCIS is now requesting that whether or not you have overstayed your visa or you have any pending petition, you should update your address. Um, that is a hint. They are coming for you. I'm not going to advise you on what to do, but keep an eye. If the USCIS or ICE, well, ICE, not USCIS, if ICE is in your area and you know that you are an enforcement priority, please run away. You don't have to stay there to be caught. Okay. If ICE shows up at your door, they knock at your door, and you don't allow them entry, they cannot force their way into your rooms or into your house. I remember that in December, two of my clients, so what they said to me that they were actually waiting to, I think they were having breakfast, and then someone knocked at their door. When the person knocked at their door, they realized that this person had a DoorDash. I think the person had something with DoorDash. They were trying to make a delivery. And so he said, "Oh, we haven't ordered anything." The man said, "No, we haven't ordered anything." And then the guy said, "No, I'm supposed to deliver something here." So he was trying to open the door to speak with the person and say, "Maybe you have the wrong apartment number." And then the person said, "No, I have the right apartment number." And then the guy said, "No, you have the wrong apartment number." They don't have to intimidate you and then get you to open the door. Ask questions. If you are not sure of who they are, don't let them enter. They cannot force their way into your homes if you don't open the door. So the moment you see ICE is in your area and you're an enforcement priority, don't open the door, run away, move. I'm sure that's what immigrants do, right? You move until you settle at some point. And so that's that. Enjoy your weekend, and I hope to see you next week. If you want to be part of our WhatsApp platform, we have a WhatsApp platform. We are about 700 people there. Um, you don't have the people are not texting in there, right? It's only the admins that are allowed to post. But then we put immigration updates there from time to time. If you want to be part of that group, please send a message to our WhatsApp number 703-705-9905, and we will add you to that group. But stay well, stay safe, enjoy your weekend. And on Wednesdays we have our webinars. We have our webinar on Wednesday, And the officer that I'm talking about will be in our webinar one of these Wednesdays. We're going to announce it, and we're going to post the Zoom details on our social media platforms. And so please follow our social media pages for that information as well. Enjoy your weekend and have a good night. I hope to see you all sometime next week, Friday. Good night. Thanks for joining. I do appreciate your time. Thanks.